DeLuca reporting to you live from the heart of Littleville. Today, in light of recent events, we have managed to catch a brief segment of Superintendent Meredith Schwarzkopf's press conference with the school district over recent discrepancies about book banning.
Good evening. On behalf of all of us here at the Littleville School District, I'd like to address recent discrepancies regarding books that we have banned from our school libraries. I, along with the staff members, feel as though the following books disrupt and have negative effects within our learning environments and for our students.
On our way out of the press conference, we managed to encounter two enraged parents, Mr. and Mrs. DeWinkler. We asked them their opinion on this certain event.
I am enraged. This is a complete violation of our civil rights. I'm just enraged. I'm furious, for lack of a better term. As a member of the PTA, school committee, volunteer board, rec center council, Mothers Against Book Banning, and most importantly, a Littleville school alum, go Beavers! I want my 4 little beavers to be able to read the same books I did 20 years ago. Yes, some of these books may be graphic, homophobic, sexual, violent, racist, communistic, Semitic, etc. But I find that each of these have helped me form the views I have today. Once a beaver, always a beaver. Am I done now? I'm leaving anyways.
Do you have anything to say about this?
I ain't never learned to read.
My crew and I were lucky enough to get an interview with Dr. Meredith Schwarzkopf, the superintendent of Littleville School District.
Mella, nice to have you here
Hi,
tonight.
great to finally meet you. So we were wondering if we could ask a little bit more into the recent book bannings at your school.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd like to answer a few questions to the best of my ability.
So what initiated the banning of these books?
Well, Bella, to start, a few students began going home and doing things that reflected the book they had been reading in school, The Crucible. One girl asked if her parents could convert to Puritanism. It's relatively outdated. You don't hear as much of it nowadays. As well as the following evening, one of the girls, she was included in this group, they began to practice an exorcism on one of the friends who they found had been acting weird. Thankfully, the parents interrupted it. We also had an occurrence where students were starving themselves in the woods after a few of them had been reading Into the Wild.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we just didn't want anything to go any further.
Right. So how many books has your school banned in total?
5 so far. These books are Fahrenheit 451, The Scarlet Letter, The Crucible, Into the Wild, and 13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why is more of a modern book. It's really spreading nowadays. A lot of kids are reading it.
Right. So 13 Reasons Why seems like to be a very big controversy nowadays. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so students are really getting into this book, there as well as watching the new Netflix series that was recently released on it. Students nowadays are really into Netflix and watching all the shows, and they really form a connection with the characters and almost look up to them.
Right.
So we feared that if we had the books in our school, mainly 13 Reasons Why, that students would also use that as a tool to maybe copy or imitate what was going on in the show. The book is about teen suicide. It's kind of a soft topic. I get it's very sensitive, so we don't want anyone to be upset if anything were to happen. We don't want anyone to be affiliated.
Right. So you're not banning them to have access to these books, just not in school.
Yeah, absolutely. If students want to go home and read them with their parents' consent, that's fine. But we don't want these books in our school libraries or being taught in our classes. As you know, the teachers expand and really go into depth with these books, and we just are afraid that serious repercussions could come out of them.
It seems like you're simply diminishing anything bad that could be given to these students.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily want them exposed to these yet. They're more college level material, so we're just trying to protect some of the students who aren't necessarily ready to read this material.
Right. Great point. And that's about it for today's local segment, and we'll be right back with the weather after commercial break.